Welcome to QCC's Face the Region. Face the Region is produced by Quinsigamond Community College to assist our region in attaining educational, economic, and personal prosperity. Now, here's your host, WCRN's Hank Stoltz.
Good afternoon, I'm Hank Stoltz, and thank you for joining us on QCC's Face the Region. Today we're going to be talking about the Quest Center Labs, the Fab Lab, and Mechatronics. And to help us do that, we have James Heffernan, Coordinator of Electronics Engineering Technology Program. Also, Damian Kieran is with us, Associate Professor of Manufacturing Technology. Both have been with us before. James, Damian, welcome back to the program. Thank you both for being here. James, why don't I start with you, if I could, please. Tell me a little about yourself real quick, to reintroduce yourself and what it means to be the Coordinator of Electronics Engineering Technology Program here at QCC.
Sure. So, Hank, I grew up in Worcester. I'm a graduate of Worcester Polytech and Assumption College, and I've been teaching at Quinsigamond Community College since 1999. We originally had a program that was designed at my previous school, Worcester Technical Institute, to address training semiconductor technicians for the semiconductor industry. And Intel was a big partner at the time. The program came over to Quinsig, and I came over and became the coordinator of it as well. So since that time it's developed, it's got a new name, but the focus is still pretty much the same. It's to prepare students for careers in automated technology, where they're out there maintaining equipment and testing and building things, keeping the automated manufacturing facility.
And that's really a big part of it then. So, so they come here. They come to QCC 1 year, 2 years, and they are out and being able to get good jobs right here in the area.
That's right. That's the goal, is to have be able to be employable with a 2-year degree. And there are a number of very good jobs out there, good pay, so there are a lot of opportunities.
Damian, same question for you, just real quick. If you could just reintroduce yourself to everybody, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do as Associate Professor of Manufacturing Technology.
Sure. So I've been here at QCC for 3 years. Prior to that, I worked for 20-odd years in industry, mostly in computer manufacturing, but also in medical device manufacturing. As you can probably tell from my accent, I did not grow up in Worcester. I grew up in Ireland, but I've been living in the US for the last 25 or so years.
All right, students come into your classes. Tell us a little bit, a la what James was telling us about. You're preparing them then for careers and to be able to stay right here and get right out into the workforce.
Absolutely. So in manufacturing, we have a certificate program that you can do in 1 year, or some associate degrees that you can do in 2 years. Some of our students are part-time, so it takes them longer because they also work. But the goal is that they are employable, or they have the option to go on and do a 4-year degree.
I think the last time that we spoke, you were both just getting ready. The Quest Center had really just opened up, and we were just talking about the Fab Lab. We're a few months down the line here. James Heffernan, what's it like? Tell us a little bit about the Fab Lab. But I'm curious about your experiences right now as the new semester has started and you're in the new digs.
Sure. Well, I'll let Damian talk about the Fab Lab because he's more involved in that. We have a couple of labs right across the hall where we work with all kinds of automated equipment. So we've got a semester under our belt, and we're about a third of the way through this semester. We really, we've got, the labs they feel much more modern. The students, you can feel the morale among the students has risen. Just being in the environment, it's got more credibility, I think, because of the fact that it feels and looks like a modern manufacturing type facility.
Tell us a little bit about the Fab Lab and what students are experiencing.
So I think it's as good or better than we expected. We certainly have that wow factor with students. We've run a couple of manufacturing classes in there already. We've also done some external training for local educators and local middle and high school students. So we've definitely hit the ground running in the Fab Lab, and as I said, it's better than we expected.
When you talk about this wow factor, from the point of view of some of the local educators then who are coming in, they're seeing this and then they're going back, and they're students who are expressing an interest. Now they're telling them, listen, you can't be coming to QCC. If you want something modern, if you want something cutting edge, and they're relaying that.
Yeah, they're definitely spreading the word. And I've also seen several students that I met during the summer, high school students, who are now showing up in our program. So that's exactly the impact that we wanted to have.
Excellent. Run down for us again, because it has been a while, some of the facilities that are there when you're talking about the students coming in or the educators who are coming in and taking a look at it. What do they see?
So in the Fab Lab, there are about 500 Fab Labs around the world, and generally speaking, each lab has the same equipment. So it includes a laser cutter for doing some precision cutting of different materials. It includes a large router for making mostly large wooden structures like furniture. We have some compact milling machines for making circuit boards. We have 5 3D printers in our lab, and they're obviously very popular. And then we have a whole bunch of miscellaneous stuff like electronic equipment to make circuit boards. We have molding and casting equipment. It's pretty much a place where you can make anything you can think of.
Yeah, Damien, tell me a little bit about these 3D printers. You have 5 of them. As you said, the students really are gravitating towards those. What can you do on, well, maybe it's what can't you do on a 3D printer? What can you do on a 3D printer? What's some of the things that they work on?
3D printing allows you to create shapes and objects that would be extremely difficult to make using traditional manufacturing processes. And so we have students who come in and they can find designs online that they can print on our printers, or they can take some of our classes and learn programs like SolidWorks. They can design their own custom parts and print those on the printers.
They leave QCC, they've worked on the 3D printer. How do they apply that? What are the industries right now that are using these 3D printers?
I think there are lots of industries out there using them for things like rapid prototyping. So in the past, a company would have to do a design and ship it out somewhere and have a prototype made, and that could take several weeks. Now they can do the design and they can run it overnight in their 3D printer, and it's there the next morning. So those are the kinds of skills. It's not just the printing, it's the design that allows you to create the model that you then print.
Boy, absolutely incredible. Coming up, we're going to be talking more about Quest Center Labs, the Fab Lab that we were just talking about, mechatronics as well. Damien Kieran is with Associate Professor of Manufacturing Technology. Also with us, James Heffernan, Coordinator of Electronics Engineering Technology Program here at QCC. Much more to come on QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. QCC's Face the Region continues on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. I'm Hank Stoltz, talking about Quest Center here at QCC. We've certainly talked about it before, focusing on the Fab Lab today and mechatronics as well. Damien Kieran is here with us. James Heffernan is with us as well, the coordinator of Electronics Engineering Technology Program here at QCC. And we're going to turn to him right now to tell us a little bit and give us an overview of what is mechatronics.
Well, mechatronics is a combination of moving parts, machinery, electronic controls, and programming. So there's an aspect of information technology, there's an aspect of mechanics, and there's an aspect of control, electronics. So our students are, it's primarily an electronics program, but electronics these days doesn't really live by itself. It's integrated with other technologies. So if you walk into our mechatronics lab, Damien talked about the wow factor with the Fab Lab. Well, we're directly across the hall, and we have a similar kind of factor. If you walk in, you'll see robots along the back wall, industrial robots. You see a high-tech conveyor belt system that is considered a fully hands-off manufacturing system, where we'll automatically produce parts without any human direct intervention. So what our students are learning is how to read the schematics and troubleshoot and understand how the components are fitting together. So that's really what mechatronics is. It's the technology that keeps automated manufacturing running.
Is there a crossover between the Fab Lab and mechatronics? I mean, somebody is doing something in the Fab Lab and then they come over and then it works with the conveyor belt or with the industrial robots? And Damien, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think there definitely is some overlap. So Jim and I have talked about some projects that our students could collaborate on and build stuff in the Fab Lab. So yeah, there certainly is overlap.
Interesting. Tell me a little, because I've got to believe that when the students come walking in, and we both now talked about that wow factor, when we say robots, when you talk about industrial robots, what does that look like? What does that see? People nowadays, I don't know, we say robots and we're thinking, I suppose, that they look almost human, but these industrial robots are robots or robot arms that are designed with a very specific purpose in mind.
That's right. And so the typical industrial robot is a single arm, and it actually has 6 joints, generally a 6-axis robot, and it's designed to make the same kinds of movements that the human arm can make. If you go on YouTube and Google and look up welding robots, for example, you'll see, usually in the auto industry is where they used, and you'll see these robots moving around, and they look almost human because they've been programmed for these very complex moves. So that's the kind of robot we're talking about. There are lots of other types of robots. There's the Roomba, the one that sweeps the floors. There are service robots and all kinds of other ones. So robotics is a much larger category.
Wow, this is incredible. So students who come in, what would they be? So is mechatronics, or are they, mechatronics is sort of the overall umbrella, and they're taking some individual courses? A student who is going to be using that industrial robot, what's his discipline going to be? What's he looking for when he gets out?
So they're looking to become automation technicians. It's probably the best title. Mechatronics is a relatively new term, but you could call the positions mechatronic technicians. It could also be classified as electronic technicians because there's a heavy emphasis of electronics. So, it's kind of there's a lot of terminology and a lot of terms that the average person on the street might not be familiar with. That's part of the challenges.
Well, it sounds like it's really changing too. This is very cutting edge. So, this is something that is happening here at QCC that wouldn't be offered everywhere, and that students wouldn't be able to avail themselves of what they are seeing at the Quest Center, at the Fab Lab, or with Mechatronics. It just isn't out there everywhere.
That's true. Yeah, it's a unique combination of technologies.
Boy, that's amazing. Damien, just to follow up quickly, that thought that, you've been here 3 years, that really maybe even in the 3 years that you have been here, that a lot has changed, that students are coming in, that there are new things that they are seeing that 3 years ago QCC wouldn't have been able to offer.
Absolutely, and I take credit for all of that.
You've done a nice job.
I think I was really lucky in terms of my time in coming here, because all of these plans were in motion. Now, I hope all of us helped to execute those plans, but these plans have been around for 5 or 10 years. So this is the culmination of a lot of work over a lot of years by a lot of people. So
I guess that's what I'm thinking. The way that you were just talking to, Jim. 10 years ago, you probably wouldn't have been able to really envision some of the things that you're talking about, whether the conveyor belt that you were talking about, or the industrial robots, or Damien, some of the things that you have in the Fab Lab were just in people's imagination back then. Now I guess they're reality. Which leads me to my next question for both of you. So how do you keep up? So now you have the Fab Lab, now you have Mechatronics. It has the wow factor now, it's got to have the wow factor next year and the year after that. Jim, first, how do you keep up?
Well, the honest answer is we don't quite ever keep up. We're always chasing the rabbit. So we do our best to keep an eye on what's out there, what our students are running into in the workplace. We have some very strong industry partnerships, and we try to mirror as much of that as possible and stay ahead of the curve. But it's pretty overwhelming. So in a way, it's you kind of do as much as you can in as many areas as you can. And what we have now, we expect to keep this trend going of keeping high-tech equipment in the lab and making it relevant.
And Damien, clearly as the architect of this, a lot of this is going to be resting on your shoulders going forward. How are you going to be able to keep it moving?
That's a lot of pressure. What I would say is we're very plugged into our local industry partners, and so I think they will help to keep us current. One other thing I would add is that in all of our programs we have a lot of industry certifications, and so if we stay up with those, then I think by definition we're staying up with the trends in the industry.
So industry certification, and boy, we just have a moment here, but tell me a little bit more about that. So you're being certified as well, or the lab is being certified as well, or these are the programs that the students are getting where they're going to be certified to be able to go out in the workforce?
So it depends on which subject area we're talking about. So, but for example, in robotics, both Jim and I are certified instructors for the Fanuc robots. And so what that allows us to do is to teach our students and certify our students. In manufacturing, we have certifications in a number of areas, like we have OSHA certification in safety. We have a lean manufacturing certification from the Society of Manufacturing Engineers. We have a SolidWorks design certification. So we have a number of certifications, and those help to keep us current with industry trends.
All right, so again, cutting edge, we're talking with Damian Kieran, Associate Professor of Manufacturing Technology here at QCC. Also with us, James Heffernan, Coordinator of Electronics Engineering Technology Program here at QCC. We've been talking about the Quest Center Labs, the Fab Lab, and Mechatronics. We'll talk more about that and wrap it up straight ahead here on QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. I'm Hank Stoltz on QCC's Face the Region News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. And we're talking today about Quest Center Labs. We're talking about the Fab Lab and Mechatronics. Jim Heffernan, Coordinator of Electronics Engineering Technology Program, really telling us about Mechatronics. Damian Kieran, Associate Professor of Manufacturing Technology, has been focusing on the Fab Lab. Jim, you talked about the fact when we first began this conversation that people can kind of come in and take some tours, can look around. Is there a way that if you aren't in the program, or just people are listening right now and they're going, wow, they want that wow factor that you both talked about, that people can come in and take a look at the Quest Center?
Sure. Probably the best way for the general public, if you contact the QCC admissions office, and the number is 508-854-4262. They run tours on a fairly regular basis of the campus and the Quest Center. You can specifically request a tour of the Quest Center. They're very happy to show it off because we have a lot of people coming through it at different times.
Excellent. No, I mean, I think it is absolutely fascinating. If people want to find out about all of the different programs that are offered as well, they can do that by calling admissions or go to the website.
Yeah, actually, probably the website would be better to see the whole picture, but certainly admissions can give you a good rundown.
And are there a number of programs that have begun now just because you have the Quest Center, just because you have the Fab Lab and Mechatronics? You were talking about, just even the word Mechatronics is really brand new. New courses that are going to be popping up over really probably every semester now because of the technology that you have.
To some extent, although we hit the ground running.
Yeah.
We saw this. We knew the new building was coming, so a lot of us kind of redesigned our programs with that in mind. I have a new course called Mechatronics Systems in our program, which is taking advantage of a lot of the capabilities in the new labs and the new equipment. But so it's more just the new equipment is enhancing our existing courses.
Excellent.
All right.
Yeah, and I think what it does for us in manufacturing is it opens up a huge world of possibilities in terms of the kinds of projects, hands-on projects that students can do to get that real-world experience.
Damian, why don't you tell us about, if you could, a couple of those projects or some of the projects that you're working on right now, give people a little bit of a feel for if they came to QCC, got into the manufacturing program, some of the things they would actually be doing.
Yeah, so it ranges from very simple projects. We had one student who designed his own custom USB memory stick with the QCC logo on there. We had a student who designed an iPhone case with a stand which was in the shape of the wyvern wing, which again is another QCC logo. We have a student who's been working for several months in there working on a prosthetic arm for his own use, using a lot of 3D printing and some electronics. We've done things like, we've done bird feeders that have motion sensing cameras so you can capture images of the birds feeding. So, it's a huge range of projects.
Now, is everybody doing something different? I mean, you allow them all to do something different, or are there certain class assignments where everybody is making the same thing?
It depends on the scale of the project. So we have one which we're kind of eyeing now for the spring, which is to actually build a 3D printer, and that would be big enough to be a group project. So It depends on the scale of the project.
About how many people are in average class?
Those classes are usually our second-year classes, so they're usually in the 8 to 10 range in terms of students.
Well, perfect for them to be able to come in, and then they've got this hands-on experience, and then they're able to show that to a potential employer that they were able to do it. We talked about the fact that certainly students are coming in, that certainly local educators are walking through. I've got to believe a lot of employers, a lot of manufacturers have come and checked out the Fab Lab and Mechatronics.
Absolutely. Like, we have a lot of manufacturers who are on our advising committees, so they've all been through and seen the facilities and been impressed by them. So the other thing I would say is, in terms of the Fab Lab, is we have open hours for the whole college community, so not just manufacturing students or technical students. We're encouraging students from lots of other disciplines to come in and see what's possible in the Fab Lab.
How does that work? I mean, is if you have, I don't know, if you're an English lit major, are you able to come in and really be able to make use of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have people in there staffing it during the open lab hours who can help those students, get up and running and get a design and,
Wow.
and make something.
Yeah, so I mean, whatever idea you have, you can bring it over to the Fab Lab and see if it's possible, or make it possible.
Yep, we don't like to say no.
Right, yeah, wow, that's terrific. Yeah, that's very exciting. So Jim, tell me a little bit about some of the things that you have and that your students are experiencing and are hands-on with.
Sure. So the new course that I mentioned, called Mechatronics Systems, what I did for that course is I bought components for building this next set of Mechatronics systems. We're building 12 of them. They're kind of a tabletop system, about 2.5 feet by 30 by 20 inches, something like that. And the students are doing all the parts. They're building it. They have to follow the electronic and the pneumatic diagrams, put it together, test it, and do the programming to get the system working. So they're really learning it right from all the way down, literally to the nuts and bolts.
Well, and I will say this, I'll give a plug here as well. As many of you, of course, have been listening over the last 3 years to QCC's Face the Region right here on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. James Heffernan has in front of him, he's got an example. Now, clearly you can't see that. However, if you look for QCC's Face the Region on your local cable access, there are a number of cable access stations around the area that carry the video portion of this conversation, and you will be able to see it there. So tell us a little bit about what you've brought and what you have in front of you.
So it's actually just one component of a much more complex system. I brought it because it was portable, it was on my desk. It's part of a system that system I was telling you that we're building. We're going to use it to grab parts and sort them based on their color, put them on a conveyor. All it really does, it's got a motor that drives an actuator up and down. But if you notice, there are a lot of wires coming out of it. So this is the electronics part. There's a lot of complex electronics that is used to control this motor to very precise movements. And that's really what the program is focused on. You're learning about the electronics and how this fits into a larger system and how you can use it and program it.
Excellent, excellent. All right, fascinating as always. Quest Center Labs, Fab Lab, Mechatronics. You can check it out. You can come and you can get a tour of the Quest Center. If you're a student and you're interested, you certainly want to make sure that you get that as well. But Mom, Dad, you can come along too, just to check it out. 508-854-4262. Call admissions. 508-854-4262. They can arrange that Quest tour for you. Website will talk about all the great programs. James Heffernan, Coordinator of Electronics Engineering Technology Program, thank you for being with us. Damian Kieran, Associate Professor of Manufacturing Technology, thank you for being with us today as well. And thanks to all of you for joining us each and every week right here on QCC's Face the Region on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
This has been Quinsigamond Community College's Face the Region with your host, Hank Stoltz. Join us again next weekend on AM 830 WCRN.